Well, hey everybody. Glad to be back today. Hope everybody has had a good week off. Hope everybody had a chance to go back and relook at some stuff. And well, I'm glad you guys see me. But yeah, I was able to get a lot done. Sorry for being gone. Super excited to get back to it. So, all right, today we are mainly going to be looking at recursion, going to be really understanding how to interact with the command line. You also may know it as the DOS prompt, which is basically what I grew up calling it, the command line. I remember the first time I heard that, I was like, what is the command line? And then actually somebody on Twitter hit me up for dictionaries, and I was like, absolutely, we can do dictionaries. Because I was kind of wondering if those two were going to round out our time. But if you're new here, thanks for joining us. I'm Sam from Python Basics, and I am partnering with FreeCodeCamp and doing an entire series on the building blocks of Python. So, all right, let's just go ahead and get into it. So glad everybody's here. There are four previous videos, and I believe Bo has made a playlist. So after we get done here, don't go and jump over there, but after we get done here, you can go and check those out. And then also there's a link to my channel, and every single topic that we have done here, there's been a micro video on that. So that is our intro. So all right, recursion. What that is basically, it is when a program or a function calls itself until completion. And a perfect example of a recursive function is some sort of countdown, or in math, factorial. So let's just go ahead and get into it. Does everybody know what factorial is? Has anybody ever seen that? So factorial. So we're gonna just go through everything. So basically the math of factorial is, if we were gonna do 3 factorial in math, it would be 3 times 2 times 1. So 3 factorial is 6. And as you could only imagine how quickly this goes up. So if we were to do 6 factorial, well, I appreciate that. 6 factorial, so 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. You could leave off the 1. Now, there's also one important thing about factorial. It took me a while to really kind of wrap my head around this and understand what, why, and how. So 1 factorial is 1. 0 factorial is also 1. Because you still have 1 set. That's basically when I had somebody explain it, and then I think I read the same thing a couple times. So even 0 factorial is 1. So that is important when we're going to be starting to build our function out. So let's go ahead and get to it. So before we get to our recursive function, I actually want us to build a factorial function. So let's just do this. All right, and that went the wrong way, but I hope everybody has had a good week. I see we have some of our mainstays back in chat, so that is awesome. Glad to have you guys here. I do not have a video on factorial. I didn't want to get too much into that math, but I'm sure you could go and search, what is it, math? I'm trying to think. Mathfacts.org, I think is one of the things, one of the places. Oh, you can't post links? Okay. Yes, Bo is out. He's usually at Master Control watching this. So he is on vacation. So I am in complete autopilot here. So when I hit the stream button, it came up. And then so we're going to be up until I hit end stream. So hope all goes well. Hope my internet hangs in there. It's some bad weather around here. But all right. Yes. Oh yeah. Actually, I saw the other day that Bo and them put up a 9-hour algebra video. That is crazy. These 2-hour live streams take it out of me. So and just FYI, I'm not feeling that hot this morning, so I think I can make it all 2 hours, but just if we cut it a little short, I want you guys to know. So, all right, our factorial, and so we need to figure out a way to count down, track, and go forward. And then I want to show you guys this. Then we need to plan for if it's negative. So, all right, we're going to have our total. We got to have some sort of count. Now, when we're using multiplication, what happens? So we need to plan for this. So if we multiply something, so we're not counting at 0, where our total needs to start at 1. So when we multiply anything by 1, we get that product. Almost said sum. Almost broke the biggest. Okay, so somebody does have, yes. So good. I'm pretty good at math. Not super awesome. No, I only, what you'll begin to notice is I will only speak to what I feel extremely confident, and that's why. And I've done these basic tutorials for now coming up on 5 years. So, but again, that's why my channel only focuses on Python. We've touched on some outskirts of stuff, but that I try to stay in my lane as much as possible to keep me out of trouble. All right, so we're going to be doing something over and over and over and over again until a certain condition is met, not a certain number of times. Yes, certain number of times, but that amount will change every time. So I could go and have it loop through, take the len, but do a range function on len. That gets a little dicey when we have this awesome tool, while. So while x is greater than 0, then we're going to increment up, right? And then also we're going to touch on, we're going to actually build this into how to find the odds of a Powerball, and a little bit with comma placement, and a little bit of F string. And I like this lesson because it has a lot of stuff in it. So, all right, I will try to stay on task. So now we're going to learn how that we can increment up by multiplication. So then we're going to go up, and then we're going to multiply up, multiplication increment, and then we're also then going to decrement. So check this out. Because as we go, we're crossing each other. So if x was 5, then we want to multiply, we take our total, so then we start there. Our total's 1, whoops, total equals 1. Then I'm going to multiply, increment that up by 5, right? So then my total is 5. Let me make sure we don't have any good questions. Okay. All right. So now then x was 5. So then I need a way to then track this. So I'm going to decrement x by 1. So then x is 4. Then I'm going to go increment up multiplication by x. So now tot is 20, but then I need to come down one more here. So does this make sense? So as we're going through, now this is a little bit more labored, but I want you to wrap your head around what is going on, because recursion can get a little bit more dicey, and I really want you guys to see and understand this, because as this goes through, it can be very overwhelming. Has everybody even heard of recursion? I just Jan, you're always awesome and very interactive. Have you heard of Recursion? Still trying to figure out how long the delay is in chat. I know. Okay, cool. All right, so awesome. This isn't too foreign, but Factorial is an awesome way for recursion. All right, so now also there is one big distinction that we need to also make sure we understand, because right now if I were to print, oops, then when I get done, I print total or tote. Call, what was I doing? So then I have a list. Let's get rid of these. We'll test those in a minute. For test and tests. Wow. Print fact. Don't know why I've got text on my mind today. So, all right. So now I have a little bit of a problem, and I did this, wrapping this around to show you something. Because with recursion, I can't use print. I'm going to need to use return. Sometimes this can be... Okay, so... And that's absolutely fine. I remember the first time I ran across it. I think I was in high school doing algebra maybe, and I heard about it. But all right. So this is an example of returning none. And when you use recursion, you cannot use print, because you're going to be creating something and then using it again. So let's get that part down. Now, also, this isn't very perfect because, and I just wanted to show you this, and also check out what, that's 8, 12, 18, and then 100. So that is how big 100 factorial is and how quickly Python is able to do it. I remember one of the first things, well, not the first thing, but I think Java begins to have a problem after 13 factorial, if I recall, just the way that its building blocks are. So just one of those things how Python stands out. All right, so that is a very makeshift, very bare bones beginner how to do factorial. So now we're gonna clean this up quite a bit. Let's do this. Comment that out. Any questions of how factorial works at all? So all right, now we are going to build our factorial recursively with recursion. And I remember, because I think I did a function and I was had a runtime error, and I inadvertently was calling it on itself, and I think it was a hello function when I was first starting. So I accidentally did a recursion, and it just hung up. And then in this instance, you will literally be putting the function inside the function. So let's just go ahead and let's move this down. So now we're just going to keep this clean, and we're going to use our same, wow, fact x. I think in this one I use n. So, all right. So now we need to handle. We're going to be really accurate here. So when I said factorial 0 is 1, we need to handle this. So if n less than -1 oops, I'm sorry, greater than -1, then we're going to do our two conditions of if it's 0 or if it's greater than 0 there. But we're going to handle this first. Negative. All right. So now we have a nested condition. So this is how I want you to think about it. Think about your number line. So it can handle a factorial can be 0 through positive. It cannot be greater than -1. Then we're going to check if it's 0, return 1, then everything else follow through. Sorry, like I said, I'm a little out of it, not feeling that great today. So now let's handle if n equals 0. Then we're going to return 1. And just to remind you, in Python, whenever the return is hit, it comes completely out. Just jumps, ends everything. It becomes dead code after return. That was one of the little nitty-gritty things that I finally ran into. So everything dead. You don't ever need a break. Whenever you hit return, maybe you can just throw in a return if you want to, and it just kills everything, and everything after the return is called dead code. All right. I don't know why I have this pen here. Okay. So now let's get into it. And I'm going to lay this out. So else return, and I knew I spelled it wrong because it didn't go orange or yellow. I call that orange. All right, so n times, and it's literally this simple, but we're going to talk about it. N minus 1 going forward. So, all right, here we go. Let's get over here. Let's make sure I have this sized right. Okay, good. And let's get here and make sure. Anybody got any questions so far? That's a good way to say it. So, all right. So if you want output, prints things to the screen, but it returns none. It does not create anything. So most of the time, you're going to be creating a variable and wanting to use it later. So you can literally take a function, pass in information, assign that to a variable, and you've created that information. Print just puts it out to the screen. Print prints out anything you want it to print. So when I'm going to go and run this, like when I was up here and I did this to kind of foreshadow. I wrapped, where was it? I wrapped right here. I wrapped that with print, and that's when it returned none. Okay? So now I'm going to leave this here, and nothing's going to happen. It's returning and creating. Actually, I may show you. Well, I don't want to get too far into the woods off this. Maybe next week we can just do things on print and return for a good solid section. But yes, this is what the takeaway here is. Return creates something, and then you can take that and assign it to whatever you want. If you just want it to print it out to the screen, great. But if more than likely you want to then link those things together, and you could take a function. Yep, that's exactly it. Because it returned. It returned something, so you needed to go and link that information and assign it to a variable. And then there's going to be times where it's going to say in place, return none. You cannot assign that to a new variable. There's documentation on, is it sort? believe it's a list sort. Yes, you'd need to make a copy. That's why you sorted. Go back and look at the documentation on that. That's why it says return none in place. You cannot assign a new variable. So that's why these distinctions are very, very, very important at the beginning of your Python journey, is to understand the difference, because you will get hung up on things. So, all right. Yep, that is exactly it. And that's why I love this so much. So, all right. So basically, this is what I want you to think about. So it's going to be going in, or 5 times, then this is how this is. So then it's going to go parentheses, then 5 minus 1, then it's going to go again, then times 5 minus 2, and as this goes through, it's going to be and then there, then it will wrap again, then it wraps these two. There we go. Then 5 minus 3. Then it wraps those around. So it goes down and down and down. I think this goes right there. There. But you're starting to get the idea. So this nests and nests and nests until it gets down to, so then that is another factorial inside of that. Then it's a factorial inside of that. Then a factorial inside of that. Then a factorial inside of that, until it exterminates down to there. So, all right, let's get rid of this. So now, now let's run this. All right, we have our tests right here, right? And then let's do 0 and -2. Let's add those back. Now, why is this going to fail? I gave a hint. Why does this fail? Okay, that's not too big of a delay. All right. I made a passing comment. Anybody remember? Because it returns does not, I did not have a print. So now, this is also why recursion, a recursive function, needs to be returning, needs to be creating, because then this will not work. Or you have to get extremely overcomplicated, but we're making our progress here. So then I have my negative, I have my 1, of course, equals 1, then my 0 equals 1, because it is still a set of 0, so it is one set equaling 1, and then I have my my catch right here, else return negative. All right, so now let's jump into something that I do like the math on, and it shows. So I know there are a lot of us, a lot of individuals on today that are outside of the country, outside of the United States. Does anybody know how the United States does our lottery, with the little bouncy balls, and they go in and then they pick a bouncy ball, and how the odds work on that? Has anybody seen that? Because I don't know how much to go into it, because now we're going to spin off and we're going to use a factorial to then figure out the odds of winning a combination of numbers. Anybody ever heard of that? All right, the stream looks good. All right, well, cool. Well, we will get into it. So, all right, we don't need these anymore. So the way that the odds work for this lottery Powerball, and here's what was genius about the lottery officials of what they did. So when I was growing up, have no idea. Okay, so basically, it's a big tub, and 50-something balls go into this, and they each have a number on it, and they bounce around. And people buy tickets, and they wager. Each ticket is worth, I think, $2 now. And they can either let the computer pick 6 random numbers, or you can go in and pick 6 random numbers. And people tend to have a methodology. They pick the same numbers. It's birthdays. It's street names. But when you have 50 balls bouncing around and you have to pick them, now you do not have to pick them in order, just anything, because then if you had to pick them in order, I actually don't. I think I saw the math on that, but all right, to give you an idea of how the math on this works, is if you have 50 balls to pick from, then you pick 6 of them. So here's the math on this. It's 50 factorial. Let me make sure I have this right. Then it's 50 factorial times, oh shoot, I have it here, but it's 50 factorial, 49 factorial, 48 factorial, 47 factorial, 46, 45. Yes. So that is how exponential this is. And you go through. Oh, cool. Free Code Camp has a new supporter. Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you very much. So now we're going to take this new tool that we have, and we're going to. Yes, it is. Absolutely. Now, it's not as complicated as having to have it in order, which I don't, like I said, math, we can tiptoe out of math pretty quickly. I'm good right up until the beginnings of calculus, but I digress here. Now, here was the genius part of what lottery officials did. They added a Powerball, a whole only section. And what they did is they removed a number. You only had to pick 5 numbers, then a Powerball. And everybody actually thinks that is easier, and it's actually harder. So it was 50 factorial, 49 factorial, 48, that's 47. Now here's where it gets weird. So 47, that's 46, 45. So that was the old way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So see how that number's smaller? So when they removed this, and then they gave a whole other bin of 50 more numbers. So it actually goes back to 50 factorial, I think what it is. So they actually made the odds more challenging. But everybody who is gambling and buying these lottery tickets, they think they only have to pick 5 numbers, and this other one is easier. It was genius when I first had a math teacher assign it to me. So now we're going to use our Python knowledge to actually calculate and build a function of how in the world to calculate the Powerball odds. And it's actually quite interesting. So let me get the right one. Oh, and if I can hang in there, we got some very cool stuff with the, where did it go? I thought I had it right here. Sorry, guys. All right. Let's bring this over here. All right. Did I really not save it? All right. Well, here's the math that I pulled out. So this is what the math is, because then you pick one and you go forward, and this is it right here. And we're going to be putting this into a function. And then we're going to learn some other cool stuff that I don't think we have gone over yet. Okay, I did have it. I had it on another screen. I should have put this all in one place. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to build a function, and we're actually going to use some. Ooh, I think somebody's got a couple comments. All right. Those are. So we're going to use a default argument. We're going to do we need to have a loop, a while loop. So let's get in here. Def odds pick and power. So if it's going to have power or not. All right, has anybody ever seen this before? What I'm doing right here. Everybody understand this? Anybody? Because this is super important, and we're just going to go over it. Because if you have not seen my video from yesterday on my channel, if you have the question, somebody else has the question. So I'm usually pretty thorough. It's a default argument. So optional argument, default argument. So it is, you have to pass these two. You do not have to pass in power. It is already set for you on false. All right. So the way we're doing this is, and we're going to use a enter number of regular balls, number of balls picked. Yep. And if they are using a Powerball. So basically you will be asked for the number of Powerballs. So basically this function is for anybody who could, because there are different lotteries in each state, then there are some that have states that share. So you could take this function and apply this to any lottery, and then you could understand the odds that you're dealing with, and you could figure out, if you're into gambling, you could figure out which ones have the better odds. So all right, now I'm going to show you something. Who remembers us looking at the math module? Anybody remember us looking at the math module? Because I had a couple of TU teachers and they explained it. Look, I will show you how to use the shortcut way, but I need you to prove that you can understand where it's coming from. So the math module actually has a factorial built in for us. So I also wanted to show you recursion, but there's a tool already out there. Most everything that I'm showing you, there's always a tool out there. But if you start using something and you don't understand how it works, especially under the hood of all kinds of things, you can get into trouble you might be like somebody was just getting something to return, or they thought they were getting something to return and they weren't. It was only printing out to the screen. So if you don't understand under the hood and how it works, you can get into a little bit of dicey things. So, all right, let's peek inside our math module. So dir on math. Helps if I close this out. All right, and it's factorial. Yeah, right there. So we're going to do a shortcut from math import factorial as fact. All right. Does everybody understand this alias and this import line right here? So this is a shortcut because right now this is my main level math, and if I wanted to get to factorial, I would need to use math.factorial, then pass in 3, and I get 6 to come out. But now if I were to do this from math import factorial, then I only have to type in factorial 3. But then if I alias this, now all I have to do is type in 3 and I get it. So that is that. So if you are lazy and don't like to type a lot, and you will come up with a fast way to do it, you and I can be friends. Okay, so here we are. Okay, now there's a couple more things that I need to show you which are very, very good. So our result is going to be, like I said, we're just going to do this return, and here's our math. So it's balls, 2 parentheses, then division, and you want to get all these parentheses so you can make sure you have order of operation. Order of operation PEMDAS. I don't think I actually committed PEMDAS to memory until I started teaching Python and I was volunteering at my kids' schools, because one of my kids' very nice math teachers asked for some help, and I actually got a Python lesson out of it. So that's kind of an example. So all right, PEMDAS, parentheses, exponent, multiplication, division, adding and subtracting. So those are the order of operations. That's the rank, the rank and importance and the order you need to do first. Parentheses trump exponents, exponents trump multiplication and division, and then you do adding and subtracting. But you do parentheses, that is what you do first, then you do those other variations. They go in order and order of importance and set rules. And Python, oops, sorry guys, that was probably really loud. Those are the rules, and Python is built upon those rules. So very important that we know them. Now we need to handle, so that's our output, but we need to handle a couple things here. So this right here, so no matter what, we're either going to be multiplying this by 1. Ooh. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Jan. Is anybody else having any other buffering issues? Or is that because it looks like the stream is good on my part. Is anybody else having any issues? Okay, good. Because like I said, I had to reboot my router before I got started today because my upload was atrocious. So I'm trying to make sure you guys don't have any issues. Okay, so now we need to handle some things, and one of the first things we need to handle is this. Has anybody ever seen the value for Boolean. So that's what it is. But has anybody ever seen a value? Anybody ever seen this? Anybody ever seen that? Where true and false actually have a value to them? So I remember when I saw that, and I thought that was the coolest thing. So we're actually going to take this technique and we're going to utilize it right here. So this, I remember when I saw this and was going through it and somebody did an example and I was like, I know how I can do this and it's going to be so cool. So, all right. First, if the power is, if there is no Powerball, we're just going to multiply this by 1 and go on about our day. So there is no Powerball. So here's the balls. Did I close this out? Let's see. Got one. Something about that didn't feel like it got the right number. One, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. Okay. There we go. Okay. Then, so now we need to set this p underscore ball to 1. So that was the way that I do this, so we can have this just on one nice little condition. So if this is false, this is just set to 1, go on about your day. So now watch this. Then if power then take input, Powerball equals int input enter number of power balls. Close this out, close that out, close that out. So what I'm doing, let's see. So what I'm doing here, you could say, does power equal true? But I don't need to be that. This is very passive. So if I turn this true, this is true, and then it moves on. So right now it's false. So when you have this, you could literally have this go through and make this, I could make this P ball, right? So it's already going through and set this. So I wanted to get your guys' mind to wrap around this. So if power, so I could play into this where power could go back and forth, and then if we go on. So I just wanted to show you that because I remember the first time I saw this. So if this is false, I don't have to say if power is true, do this. I literally just come here and go, this is false. Just come down here and multiply that, and I have this just be 1 and move on about our day. So now this returns, so I need to do print odds, and I'm going to pass, okay, good, you can't see that alert. I'm going to pass in, what did I say, 50, what example do I use? Ooh, and then we need to do our formatting because our eyes are used to seeing parentheses. I'm sorry, commas. So 69 balls, 6, and let's just close that out right now. So let's run this. Spelling is a problem. So let's see. So 719,264,832 to 1 are the odds of winning the lottery with 69 balls and 6 choices. So now let's change this up and go true. So now enter number of Powerballs 26. So now it is gone. It is even worse. So now we need to, all right, I clicked off. So now we need to, oh, very cool. We got we have another supporter. So that's very awesome. Well, thank you guys. All right. So now I want to show you how to add a comma into Python's output. Oh, that's supposed to be 6, not that. There we go. Because now it goes, see, now it's a billion. See how that one little tweak of adding a fresh batch of numbers goes in? So now it's over 1 billion to 1. All right, but I have to go through and highlight, or I do. You may not have to. You may be able to see that. So first I'm going to show you how to do this with old string format, and then we'll jump into F string. All right. So now, so boom. It can be. I was showing that you could go and make and assign. Oh, okay. The Powerballs are their own little set of numbers, and it was to kind of trick people into realizing that they had a brand new set of numbers to go in. So it was, you have this one container where 5 balls are picked out of, then you had this auxiliary container, and you had an additional brand new batch of numbers to pick from that started back over. And it actually increased the probability because they are more, there's more numbers. Everybody thinks that it was going to be easier because it was its own small container, but it was actually just adding another set of numbers to have a larger factorial problem to it. So that's why this little trick that they did made it worse. But somebody who's not as in depth, and again, we're probability and statistics, we're heading quickly out of my element, but I was able to really wrap my head around this math problem, and it was one of the basic ones that I really got a lot out of with probability. The last number needed to win a lottery must be the last number chosen by the player. I don't know exactly if I understand that, but no, the Powerball idea was to add a larger probability to it, but it actually, people thought it was easier to pick because then they only had to pick 5 numbers out of the main container, which with another one. So all right, let's learn how to use a let's see, yeah, dot format. Let's bring this in, and there we go. So all right, I'm going to show you this the format way, and then I'm going to show you. Actually, let's get rid of this so we don't. There. So the way that Python has this, let's see where to go. It's literally this simple. All right. So Python understands that this, I'm wanting to place a comma in our standard grouping of numbers. All right. Oh, yes. Okay, yes. Then that will be yes. The Powerball is chosen last, and it's kind of for a more exhilarating choice. Yes, the Powerball is chosen last, and it's usually a red number. But again, I don't play the lottery. There are people who could. There's all over here in the States. There are. We like to gamble a lot. I don't partake in it. I don't judge anybody who does, but there are all kinds of gambling and lottery and things like that. But all right, this right here will print everything into a nice comma setup. So now I didn't have to go through and do this. Now, this is how the F string works. And I like to show you, actually, we'll leave this here. We'll copy it. That's what we'll do. And yes, I don't like copying. And it's literally just like this. Oops. And we place this just in front of it and then get rid of everything else. So let's go over. All right. So now with F string, it is still this setup, and you just, that's the, what you want to have happen to this output. So there we go. So that is an F string format for adding a comma to numbers, and this is a string format layout. So there we go. I don't know. I thought this was absurdly cool of how simple and clean and clear in Python it is to just add commas to numbers with placement. So all right, any questions about that before we move into the command line? Who knows what command line is, or DOS prompt, or terminal? I think in Apple, terminal. So I'm going to show you two ways to get to it. The easy way, the Sam way, or the more challenging way. So Python just understands this, that this is inside the formatting rules. It understand. Well, that is, you would have to do that manually. So I can't remember if I've done that. So what we do, I do actually have a video, and I need to find it somewhere, how to format a telephone number. So that has 3, 3, and 4. I'll have to find that. But that's a hyphen. But Python understands, because it's consistent with numbers, that you're going to have, and it understands exactly what this means. Basically it's a setting. So we would have to use that. I can't remember if we're using regular expression, but you know what? This is why I love this interactive. You guys are so smart. Let me make some notes for next week. So we're gonna do telephone, and I think I have one for social security numbers too. I think. So telephone and social security number. Social security number. All right. And actually, somebody told me, asked me a question about our social security numbers, because I think they were from New Zealand, and their numbers are actually in batches, and to know when you were born. Here in the United States, our social security number is built on geography. So the first ones are what state you are in, and then the group, and then it recycles. So we have, and then just like our area code, we have 3 digits for the area code, the exchange, and then 4 numbers. So you can get the idea of how big and complicated these numbers can get over and over and over again. So each area code can have a certain number of prefixes, and then every prefix can have 10,000 combinations because they're numbers of 4. So 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, 10,000. That's what is so cool. Because like I remember that I got really easy. So when you have a 3-digit number of choices times number of choices times number of choices, 1,000. Or just when you do that, because you have 000 and 999. Okay, all right, so command line. Go down to your search bar, type in CMD, and you get your command prompt. You can't see that. Sorry, I got this sized up just like this. And you type in CMD and you get your command prompt. Or for our example, or what we're going to be doing, is pull up your Python file, your folder, where you have all of your Python. And typically it's going to be in your app data, local programs, Python, then whichever variation of Python you have. Let's get out of that. So right now, all of this is in my Python 3.8-32. And then literally you just go to the search bar, type in command line. I remember the first time I saw this, I thought it was so awesome. You literally go to the directory that you're in, and that's vital to what we're about to start doing. So we need to do a couple of things. We need to understand how Python interacts with the command line before we can really do anything. All right, cool. I'm hanging in there. We got an hour in. I think we're doing pretty good. Are you guys hanging in there? You guys are doing pretty good. So if you're new here, it's top of the hour. So if you're getting all set up, I'm Sam with Python Basics, and I live stream on FreeCodeCamp on Tuesdays for 2 hours, and we go through. It's a very large, very vast, try to be as in-depth as possible about the basics of Python programming. And down in the description below is a link to my channel, which has every single thing that we cover on here. I'm literally just re-going through all the videos I've done before. I started a live stream on my channel to have a longer format, and then FreeCodeCamp reached out to me, and I thought it was an awesome idea to just help more people. I love Python. I've been studying it for a while now, and I've been teaching it for about 5 years, and I just think it's phenomenal. So all right, right now we are in the command prompt, and so when you type in Python now, because I'm in that folder, I get it. Now, I also have my path set up, and if you're not sure how to do that, guess what? I have a video for that on my channel. We can maybe look into it if you have a great deal of problems, but literally now I am in Python just like this. Oops, didn't even do that. So let's come up here, and I want to show you. Okay, I promise I will stop doing that at some point. But literally, 8.1, this is the exact version. This is the shell that I'm running right here. All right, so we need to learn how Python and your computer are going to interact. So we're going to learn about the Cis module. Now I'm going to show you this. This is the only module you can't touch. Python says no, we're not going to let you get to Cis. But the OS brings in Cis, and this is as close as you can get. But you can also bring in Cis. All right. So, bleh. So the way that we interact with the command line, let me go through. I think I got some pretty cool notes, and I want to make sure I go through this. So the way that this is I'm going to look at help on cis.argv. If no argument is given, built-in mutable sequence, a list. Built-in a list. So now let's, I forget how many times I got to go through this. All right, so then I'm going to back out of here. I forget that. Okay. Quit. CLS. All right. If I lost anybody yet? Is everybody good still? So now what I'm going to do is copy, close this out. So here's my file. So import cis, print cis.argv. Does anybody recognize argv, args, arguments, and then argv variables? So now if I run this, I want to show you what comes out. So now I could do, I need to save this, and I knew I didn't save it. Have I shown everybody this? Let me do this. My asterisk right up here. I know this isn't saved because I have an asterisk. I love working with young people, and I ask them if they pressed F5 and they say yes. And they say it's not working, and I can walk up. See, here's the trick. This is why you're so lucky to have me. I have screwed up every single way possible. So I know where all the pitfalls are. That's what my superpower is. I'm not that smart. I'm slow. But my superpower is I can mess something up, and then I learn from it. So, all right. I did not save that. So what I'm doing right here is now I got to go freeCodeCamp. So I'm calling the file freeCodeCamp.py. How are you? Oh, I completely forgot that. All right. Doesn't like the spaces, so we're going to use our temp. We're going to steal. Import cis, don't want to get into that. Print, I was using my temp file today, so print argv, and then control sleep, and then we're going to go temp _1. All right, so Python temp _1.py. How are you? So what this does is it returns a list right here. So cis.argv takes in everything, splits it, but completely ignores Python. So I love this example because since we're already here in the interpreter, or we're in the file, and Python understands that this is our computer understands that this is a .py file. So I can just run this, and this prints out. I want to draw your attention to this. This is a list, but this is the absolute path. I think we've talked about absolute and relative. This is relative because I'm in right here. So I want to show you I'm sitting right there. And then I'm relative to this path, directory, subdirectory, path, directory, subdirectory, all the same. So this is going to spit out all of the arguments, excluding this, because this understands this is the program we're going to use. So this is a list. This is important of what we're about to do. So we're going to take a condition and understand what we have and then move forward. So what we're going to do, we don't need this anymore. So I'm going to comment that out because we know not to delete anything. So it's a list. So if len of cis.argv greater than 1, print hello cis.argv 1. Else print the standard awesome hello world. Bam. All right. So let's go through. Didn't mean to do that. See how many times I hit F? So temp py. All right. So let's go through this. So on this input, Python takes all of it, right? Excluding if we pass in Python, it knows, it goes, hey, you want that program. Go on from there. All right. And then everything thereafter, put this in a list. Just set it off to the side, put it into a list. If you want to deal with it, great. If you don't, I still have it. So what I'm saying is I'm telling Python, hey, if this list is greater than 1, I want you to then do this. And we're going to print out hello and index the list at index 1. Place that here and hello. So now if I were to do this, I get hello Sam. So if it's greater than 1, come to the list, index 1, so then also print, just so we can see, print, actually we just want to do cis.argv. Save. So just so you can start to wrap your head around this. We can look at that. I know it's in here. I know I've had it with NumPy. I don't know with math. I don't know if the math module, I don't know if you guys see in chat, it's looking for trigonometry. I can't remember if math has it, but I know NumPy has it. All right. So I just wanted to do this and print this out. Okay, it is, because I know, oh, okay, don't know NumPy? NumPy is one of the really big building blocks of, it was the beginnings of it. Then people came along and added to that. So, all right, let's get through this and then we'll chat. And actually, we may be wrapping this up. I'm really not feeling that great. So, all right, let's at least finish this out and we'll see if it passes or not. Okay, so we had our standard where we took in our list, our arguments from the command line, our cis.argv, right? Our list. Right up here, anything typed on the prompt, excluding our program to run. So it takes that, turns this into the absolute path, then any other things split on the white spaces. All right. So I gave it the file, and I gave it another bit of information and argument. If it was longer than 1, so this has len of 2, this is index 0, this is index 1. So I had this print out. So now let's do this with more than 1. And then maybe we'll talk about NumPy in a few minutes. I'm going to try to make it to 1030, and then if this passes, we'll move on. All right. So there we go. All right. So now I want to take in 2. Let's see. If len cis.argv equals 2, print, so we'll do this in a minute, we'll go over this real slow, print f hello cis.argv, then our slice, close that out, then elif len.cis argv equals 3, print hello. Did I close this out? Nope. argv, then 1, close. I hear you are close. Else print hello world. All right, save. So here we go. This hello world, Sam, and then 43. So let's go through this. Oops. I'm so out of it today. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not going to be allowed back. All right. So let's go through this really, really slow. So there's my list of 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Then 1, 2, 1. So because I passed in just one argument, this scenario, I just get hello world, just pass in the file name. Then I pass in my file name and my name equals 2, do this. File name, age, 3 arguments, do this, indexing with name and then age. All right. well, okay. This is very fluid, and you guys are here to learn Python, so let's take a minute and just peek at math. Jan, did you say that it does have some? I guess I can't remember. Yeah, okay. Because the question now, are you referring? So yeah, it has sine, cosine, tangent. Are those? Are they? And then even degrees. Do you see that? Have you run dir on math? And then you run help on math dot cosine. And return the cosine, and it's measured in radians. Okay. Okay, I thought I can get away with using that. Yeah. Oh, NumPy is actually more for matrices and things like that, really high-end math. But I knew it had some, and yeah, you should be able to. And I mean, it's got. I knew it had pi and power. So here we need to. While we're tiptoeing around this, I want to show you this. So we got help. Let's do help on math. 301 lines. So the only problem with a couple of these, I do not like, and I don't complain about documentation very much. But there are some times where, all right, so we need to talk about this. And this is a better one. So you see these right here, and you think all of these are methods. Some are attributes, okay? So a method you have to call with the parentheses. I can't even tell if I'm in focus. Okay. You need to call with the parentheses and call them. Now, these right down here are attributes. So you just call them, okay? All right, these have value. All right, so you do not need to have, and you typically have them when they're down here in the data. So these are how you differentiate attributes and methods. I don't know if I've actually explicitly said that. Took me forever to realize that. I was like, why, when, why, how do you know to not use the dot or not to use the parentheses, and when to use the parentheses? They are typically right down here. So, all right, let's see where I am with notes to get us as close to 12. Does the command, does sysargv, does all this make sense before we move on? All right. Well, very cool. All right, let's just go ahead and get into it. So actually, we had somebody on Twitter reached out to me last night. I was putting out there that was going to be back today, and got quite a few response, likes, and retweets, and thought it was very cool. I think Bo even retweeted and liked the tweet, so I thought that was very cool. And also, for those of you who are here and have gone over to my channel, I just want to tell you guys thank you very much, because I've passed 3,500 subscribers, and that is very humbling for me. So, all right. I just want to tell you guys thank you. I love this, love doing it so much, and just for you guys to hang out with me and choose to spend your time learning from me is extremely humbling. So, all right. Dictionaries. They are absolutely awesome. Jen, you are very welcome. I appreciate all the time and support. You're always here. You're very, very vocal, and I really appreciate that, because that keeps me on task and knowing that I'm going in the right direction. So, all right, what is a dictionary? Do you guys just give me a feeler? It's another type of container with Python, and So variables are variables, and where things become powerful is the type of container with which they are contained in. And in a dictionary are the curly brackets. Square brackets are lists, curly brackets are dictionaries. So type D dictionary, and then we run help on dictionary, 121 lines. You're good. All right. Aha. You can iterate through it, and this is where it becomes very, very powerful. Key value. So now, and there's also one thing that is very awesome about dictionaries. You can have, so one of the 3 rules in Python is a variable cannot be a number. Can't start with a number. So it can't just be a sole number. It can end with a number, it can contain a number, but it can't just be a number or start with a number. So, but a key can. And the way that these are associated is, so if I were to, so D equals 1 Sam. So now D, the key 1, is associated with Sam. So this is a perfect example of, let's say you have a situation and you're going to be counting things and you have no idea, none whatsoever, how many of whatever you're counting, people, like you're going to have people coming to a game. You have no idea how many people are going to show up. A dictionary is one of those tools that you have this container and you just go through and you increment and count and go up from there, and then have any information associated with it. So before we get too far into it, let's just do some simple things, and then we will freeCodeCamp. There we go. All right, dictionaries. All right. So I want to look at this. And then the other, so I showed you this. Okay, that's one way, D. Then T. So type D is a dictionary, type T is also a dictionary. So you have two ways, and this is a little bit of foreshadowing of how we can get through to this. So, all right. I already showed you this, so 1, and then now also I want to show you another way. So D. Now that can, I bet actually I know exactly where you were coming from. This is where it gets a little odd, is that the key is wrapped in a bracket. So I bet that's where you got that from. And that is a little confusing. So the main list, the main dictionary is wrapped in curly brackets. But to get to a key, to get out the value, you do need to use brackets. So I bet that's exactly what you were doing. All right. What was my main example? That I don't want that anymore. We're done with that. So we have Sam. Oh my goodness. I was just going through these notes. Oops. There we go. So I just saw that the last time, or the original lesson on this was 2 years ago, because I was 41 when I did this, because that's what my age was then. So, all right. So here's my key. Now I want to show you this. So then you call this like this. Close this out. So my key, I'm passing in this key to this dictionary and get this value. All right. Now let me show you this. So this is a way you kind of add one, and then here's just creating. Fruit equals bracket banana. Close that out so you get your colon. Then I have 3 of these, comma, apples. I have 1 of these, and grapes. Close that out. I got 2 grapes. All right, so then I call fruit. So then I get my key, my value, and the whole dictionary, just like that. Now I want to show you this. For I in fruit, print I. You only get out the key, all right, when you're looking at it. So len of fruit, how many keys are there? Okay, now you can literally, because if you've messed around with JSON at all, so that's just pulling information out off web pages, you're doing inquiry. So to understand how a dictionary works, you need to understand. And the example we're about to do is putting a dictionary inside a dictionary, I believe. And I want to show you this. So, but I also want to show you how to pull everything out. So we're going to run dir, not fur, dir. I should not have got out of bed today. Sorry, everybody. Dir on fruit. Let's see. I got keys. I got items. I got values. Okay, so all right, let's see what keys does. So we got fruit dot keys. All right, so I got banana, apples, grapes. Okay, fruit dot values. Let's see what these are. Aha. So 3, 1, 2. All right. What does items do? Fruit dot items. Oh, wait a second. All right. So this is kind of cool. This is kind of cool. So now, okay. I got for I in fruit, I just got the keys. But if I do help, okay. So I'm going to get this help on items. So the fruit items. All right, I get items. What do I want to show you? I'm going to show you. This is what I want to show you right here. So it's actually in the documentation, just like this. So now when you get items here, so our items comes out. How did items come out? So I get a tuple. So this is kind of like unpacking. So now I need to unpack this. So key value and dot items. Sorry, thought somebody was here. So I unpacked this. So key value. So now when I run this, all right. So I can tweak this a little bit more. I have the 3. So what am I doing? Okay. So you can swap these around. So I know in my key value pair, I'm going to get the key first, then the value. Key first, then the value. I have to unpack that and assign it. So if you're anything like me, I gotta unpack it and put it the way that I'm going to see it. And then I literally then can just come through here and place it wherever I want to. So, all right. Let's see. So, all right, guys. Like I was saying, I think we can pick up here. I'm not feeling that hot. We got 90 minutes in. So I think that is a great stopping point. Sorry, everybody, for cutting this short, and I'll extend my my apologies to Bo and them. But so super glad to be back. Please, I love all the feedback. I think we got, so we're going to do more with, yes, absolutely. So glad to have so many people here. Well, I appreciate that. I thought I would get going and get okay, but just nope. But we'll be back next week. Absolutely love the hit me up on Twitter or with ideas, or go to my channel and see the things that we did. You can go to the playlist of the first 100 or 200, because we have not even made it out of the first 100 videos from my channel. So the idea of these live streams is going back over those, so then you're able to go back and search for micro videos on all of these topics. Now there is some things in here that I have not expanded upon, but well, I'm glad you guys are getting out of it something, and I'm very humbled that you guys come and spend all this time with me. So you guys have a great week, great rest of your day, and we got some things brewing so that we can always be in contact. There's some folks helping me out. But as always, guys, I greatly appreciate you guys watching. Hope you got something out of it, and I will see you guys next week. Bye, guys.